Well, boys, today we're turning this Volkswagen into a Porsche. Okay, so maybe we're not turning it into a Porsche, but we are throwing some genuine Porsche parts on the Volkswagen today. These are some air deflectors, some brake ducts, if you will. They're going to go on the front lower control arms and kind of scoop some air towards the front rotors to help cooling. So we are going to throw these brake ducts on there. I'm going to walk you through the process. I've already got the passenger side done, so I've got the process dialed down. This is the driver's side. I'm going to repeat the process, do it all on camera for you guys so you guys can get the idea how to do it and how it's going to work. I will leave links to parts and tools used and everything down in the description below, so as always, check those out. It does help the channel if you are interested and decide you want to click on the links, so definitely check those out. Hit that subscribe button. It is free. More of this stuff to come on the channel. As always, we are prepping the Jetta to be a race car, so that's where we're at. We're doing race car things. Anyways, let's Porschify this Volkswagen, huh? Oh, and quick side note, front printed version of the 07K Motorsport shirt are now live on our website. So voyagerc.net, exclusive to the website, not found on Etsy. You can get all the other stuff on Etsy and all the other stuff on our website too. Car's up on QuickJacks. Like I said, I've already got the passenger side on, so let's get under the car. We'll take a look at that, and then I'll show you the process on how to get these mounted up and secured on the driver's side. And under we go. Whoa, that's dark. You can see it there on the front lower control arm. I just used 2 large hose clamps, slotted some holes, drilled the ends so they're less likely to tear. But it is just sitting on the lower control arm there. And you can see it's this big. It's going to block all the incoming air into the car and deflect it to the side. And then it's going to shoot some of it anyway over towards the brake rotor there. So this is going to be a big improvement for cooling over the non-existent factory cooling for the brakes. And that's just going to help us out on track. Because if you know from my last track video, we had some mad brake fade. A lot of that was the pads, but this is going to help quite a bit. It sits down quite a bit. This is the backside here, 2 hose clamps. These are the aluminum lower control arms off the B7 Passat, but I've got the access hole here where the hose clamp goes through. And then just on the end here, still need to trim this one up. It's a little long, sticking up, so I can just snip that back. This one is not too bad and not in the way of everything. That is how it's on there, and it's going to catch a lot of air and just deflect it. Some of it will obviously go towards the center of the car, but it's going to catch a lot of air and deflect it towards that rotor. We got to get this other side done, so I'll walk you through the process on how we're going to do that. So this is how the piece comes from Porsche. You've got a left and a right side. You can see it's labeled there for top. Right there it says top. This is the side that's going to go towards the rotor. This side's going to be towards the inside of the car. It's got these little clamps on it, so like the factory Porsche, it's just going to clip on for what it's actually designed for. We're going to kind of utilize these, but then we're going to kind of jerry rig it and make it fit to our Volkswagen control arms. So let's get this process started. So you can see here on the inside edge where this is going to be on the inside of the car, this is the outside of the car. I've got this flap taken down because we're not going to use this flap, and then I've got this one kind of locked up. You can see it just kind of hooks on there. We're going to kind of use this as a backer, and I'll get into it later and show you how I'm going to secure that a little bit more, but you can use that as a backer, and then we're going to kind of use these little claws to clamp over the arm. So we'll get under the car and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about before we start marking and drilling anything. Boy. All right. So lower control arm here, this is how it's going to sit. You're going to have this side going towards the wheel. This side, that little groove. If you are running like the skid plate from ECS like I'm running here, it actually lines up really well and slides in there. And then you have no clearance issues with the sway bar or anything. But I'm going to try to do this one-handed. You can see how we're going to kind of clip that front one on, and it'll kind of hold it. You can go side to side a little bit to get it where you want. But you can see how it kind of holds it there. Everything lines up there. I've already marked on the back side, basically on the back side where these 2 holes are. There's a little groove cut into it, and you can kind of slot that into the center of the arm, and it kind of holds it. So I just went on the back side with a Sharpie, and right where the arm meets that is where I marked. That's where we're going to put our 2 slots for the hose clamps. And then on this side, we don't really need to mark it. When we get back on the table, I'll show you exactly where we're going to slot it. But it's going to have a hose clamp here and a hose clamp here, and everything's going to be pretty secure. So as you can see, it's a pretty universal part from Porsche. It works well, obviously direct fit on their cars, but it's almost as if it was meant to be here. So let's get back on the bench and I'll show you exactly what we're going to do to get this secure. These are some 3-inch hose clamps that I bought off of Amazon. Got like a pack of 8, so double the amount you need. But you can see when you take them apart like this, we can just basically slit the plastic so we can slide this through. And then we'll wrap around the arm and secure it like that. This is the deflector here. I used a black Sharpie on a black piece, so it's probably not going to pick up on camera. But you can see my 2 little marks. That's the groove I was talking about on the backside, that little indent there on this block. That kind of centers it on the arm a little bit. And then above and below that, I have my mark. That's where we're just going to take our Dremel with a cutoff wheel and just make a slit in it. And then we'll use a small drill bit on either side of that cut, just to round it so it's less likely to start tearing down the road. And then on this side, this is the inner side. Like I said, we're gonna keep that hooked, and then just below it and above it, we're gonna make our slits so that it'll actually wrap around right on this. And then I'm gonna drill a hole right here, and we're gonna put a zip tie around this just to secure this hook. And then this is gonna be the piece that's buttoned up against the arm. So it's gonna be putting pressure on it like that. And it kind of give it a little bit better angle to deflect more air towards the rotor instead of towards the center of the car. Don't mind the old exhaust parts. We already did a video on that, so definitely check out the channel. Check out that video because this thing sounds like an absolute race car ripper now. We're gonna start making our cuts. You can see I've just got the small cutoff wheel on a rotary tool. We're gonna use our markings, make our 2 slits. Sometimes it's easier to go from the other side just because you got these lips here and you're gonna be rubbing your chuck on it.
That's what she said.
Whatever's easier for you. Get our melted chunks off. But you can see there, we've just got 2 grooves that we cut in. And that is what the hose clamp's gonna feed through. And then we'll wrap it around the arm and secure it. I am gonna do 2 small holes on the end of this with just a small drill bit. That'll help round it off. And that way when we put tension on it, it's less likely to start to crack and just peel from the side. It'll make it a little bit stronger and less likely to eat itself alive. But you know, things happen, it's just plastic. Kind of get the gist of it there, single focus. But just 2 small holes at the end of it, make it less likely to start cracking on you. But that side's done. Now we just got to get over to this side, secure it, and then drill our slits and do the same thing with the holes on the ends. So we're going to drill this one and get this one prepped. I've just got a zip tie here. It does happen to be one of the low profile ones with the low profile head, but you can just use any zip tie. Get a drill bit that's appropriate size for the zip tie you're using. And then I just drill it in the center here, right below the lip where it's going to clamp onto. That way we can feed the zip tie through that hole and up here, and then we'll secure it, and that'll just keep this secured to this. Probably doesn't need to be done, but this is what I'm doing, and it worked on the other one, so that's what I'm doing. Plastic is soft, so it drills and cuts super easy. But I'm just going to feed the zip tie through here, go back and over, and then I like to keep the head, since we're using this as a kind of a flat mating surface on the A-arm or the control arm. I like to keep the head of the zip tie on the inner side right here. So you just got to feed those together, tighten it down, and then cut off the excess. It's a zip tie, it's pretty straightforward. Make sure you keep this thing hooked as you're tightening it down so it doesn't come loose. That is essentially what you're looking at. Zip tie around there. Head of the zip tie is on this end, so we'll just cut this excess off, and then we can move on to slotting it. So for slotting it, I just go where we're not going to take a lot of meat off. That way it's still, you know, pretty strong here. But I like to go right kind of in the corner there where it meets, just right in the center on both sides. And then this flap, for the other one, you can either leave the flap on there and just let it hang below the arm, or you can get in there and just cut it off with the wheel. I cut it off on the passenger side, so I'll probably just cut it off on this side, just so my OCD doesn't go crazy. Voila, pretty straightforward. Cut that piece off there. See the slit there and the slit there. And we just got to do our little trick with rounding off the corners with a drill bit, and we'll be able to get this thing on the car. Yeah, good enough. So now we can just feed the hose clamps through. I like to keep the adjustment on the bottom side of the A-arm looking forward. That way you can get your wrench on it. You're not worried about this blocking it. You're not above the A-arm. It just makes it easier. So undo your hose clamp, feed the top portion through from the back side, and then you can go from the front side and feed it through the bottom. And hopefully you drilled your slots wide enough. That one is like just the right amount. Be a little tricky just because of the ribs on the clamp, but just work it in there. Be all right. You can see there, that's what it's going to look like on this side. And then this is where it'll be wrapped around the arm. So we just got to do the same thing on this side with another hose clamp. Sometimes when you're slotting these, they go at a little bit of an angle, so just try to work it in there the best you can. Might not be perfectly straight up and down. Voila. Now we can get under the car and strap it down in its final position. Alright, well hopefully you guys can kind of see what I'm doing. Just like I showed you on the passenger side, we're just going to work these around the arm and get them tightening down. And we're going to utilize that access hole on the inside one here. And if you need to adjust your hose clamps a little bit from here, you can. That way you can get to the nuts and everything. I got to feed these ones through a little bit more. Oh, I'm sweating like crazy. It's dripping on me. Stupid Arizona. If you guys don't have one of these, absolute lifesaver, especially for stuff like this, when you're not turning it by hand for eons. Don't have to be in the exact right position yet. Just got to get it close. Now you can kind of walk it side to side, adjust it exactly where you want, but you can see the gap lines up here, and we've got good gaps to the rotor. You can kind of feel where that groove, like I was talking about earlier, is on the arm, and you can kind of set it in there and work it where you want it. There's not really an exact right spot for this, and if you're hitting the sway bar, wouldn't really worry about that right now because the suspension's at full droop, so when it's loaded up and on the ground, it's not going to be a problem. It was the same way on that side. And it cleared itself just fine. So, it's pretty good. And you don't have to go crazy tight on these. You're just gonna cause it to crack easier than you'd want it to. But you do want it secure. You can kind of play with it like that too. You can tell that's secure. That's not going to go anywhere even with wind hitting it at speed. That is really all there is to it. And then if you have, depending on what size hose clamps you're using, if you've got extra, you can cut the slack off. I would just leave it. I wouldn't cut all the slack off because if you have to remove these and then go put them back together, you want to make it easy enough. Now, it has some functional cooling, and that's what we like. Because hot brakes, they don't work that great. All right, well, that's a wrap on the better brake cooling with those Porsche brake ducts, brake air deflectors. There's probably a technical term that Porsche calls them. But Porsche parts on the Volkswagen going to help keep those front brakes cool. Thanks for watching. Side note, this driver that I was telling you about, these things are a lifesaver. Obviously, everyone, all the YouTubers always have Milwaukee and all that stuff. I got this one off the TikTok shop. So you guys can follow me at The Real Voyage RC on TikTok if you haven't already. We're also on Instagram. But on TikTok, it's in my showcase. Comes with 2 batteries. Really good. I've been using it and it's been saving my life. So definitely check us out on our other social media platforms. All the links for everything are down below, including the parts and tools used to get this done. So thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and as always, I will see you in the next one.